welcome to Zach's channel. This is my Bermuda list. So this is going to be for Melody. First off, we're going to start off with the grade 1s, and what we have are 4 Sierras. Obviously the most important card for a Melody deck. Searches out every other Melody piece that you ever would need. The next thing we have here is 3 Quora. 3 Quora, I like this card in the beginning of the game because you can draw one, discard one. It helps you fix your hand up for beginning, so you can like search out some pieces, or if you want to discard, like I say, a grade 3 for Steza, this is good. And we have 4 Steza because I feel like Steza is better in the late game than Quora. However, you can just change the ratio for this around. You could do just 3 of this and 4 Quora if you wanted to. And that's all the grade 1s. Now we're gonna go to the grade 2s. We have 3 grade 2 Sonatas. This card's a really good pressure card because it's a 15k when it attacks Vanguard, and it gives it to every other Melody unit you have. And if you get multiple of these on the second turn, you can hit like 20k base for most of your attacks. Next up we have 3 Lizalots. I have this card because this is a really nice early game card, and it's like one of the strongest Bermuda cards out right now. Just call one or put one in the soul. It's a nice card in general. It can help you keep up your plays as well with its soul charging. Next thing we have is 4 Cannon. I decided to run 4 Cannon because her skill for the 2 to guard is on place, and it's just such a good skill. It makes people not want to perfect guard it, and when the later game, if you don't go into Eve right away, which would happen sometimes, you can use her as a way to win games. Put her on a force 2, and then your opponent's forced to look down a big number crit with 2 to guard, so they usually don't want to perfect guard that. They'll probably just take it most of the time. Now we go on to the grade 3s. We start off with 4 grade 3 Sonatas. This is the best Melody of the deck.
What are you doing? Flex the rarity, show the goodies.
We go 4 grade 3 Sonatas because it gives all your other Melodies 5k, and the more you have, the better. On top of that, when you ride it as Vanguard, you can just plop out another Melody off your deck for free, and it pretty much for free. It makes it so you thin your deck out as well. Now I run 3 grade 3 Cannons.
Are you hiding the goods? Flex, there you go. Show the love.
I say that I run 3 of this card because this is another great piece for the deck. It makes all your Melodies into interceptors, so you have more freedom on how to build your board, and you're not reliant on grade 1s to boost. On top of that, it gives the boosters 5k, so this combined with Sonata creates some giant numbers for literally nothing. The next thing we run is 3 Finas. Fina for defensive options, and well, that's about it. The more Finas you have, the tankier you are. It's harder to kill you with this card in the field. You really want to put her in the back row so they can't snipe it off with attacks. Though, when it comes to like retired decks, I'm sorry, it's just going to die, but it's whatever. So, a weakness that the Melody deck usually has is the board presence, because if something, let's say like Blade Master or Narukami goes up against it, you're probably going to lose. So, to counter this, I run 2 Eves.
Ooh. How's your pocket feel?
Dead. But, we run Eve because this is just so you can go against like board wiping matchups. They erase your board, you're like, okay, just call a new board for nothing. And it also would double your triggers. One time this legit won me the game against a Revan player. He was at 2 damage. And I put this card out, he couldn't guard it, and I hit double crit. Or I stacked the crit because the card lets you look at it. So he went from taking 2 damage to 6. And he lost the game right there. So it's also good for damage starving options. Now for the triggers. We run just the basic setup for triggers: 4 draws, 4 draw PGs, 4 heals, and 8 crits. I just feel like this is fun and correct. The deck's already so consistent, you probably don't need more draw triggers. And crits helps you finish games with 3 damage, pressures opponents to guard your big attacks more. It makes them overall scary, especially when you run Eve, which doubles the crits.
Overall, what do you use for your gifts?
For gifts,
What's your preferred one to call or guarantee?
For my gift markers, I usually always go Force 2. Because because your numbers already get so high, you don't need to worry about bigger numbers. Though there would be some very few circumstances where Force 1 would be better. Like let's say if you want to take a more slow approach to the melody, and you want to sit on Fina for a bit, so your opponent can't play, you probably go Force 1 to give them 1 damage at a time, and then when you're ready to go into Eve, you have big numbers without worrying. And you can double your crits anyway, so it'd be 3.
Anything you want to say before we close out?
This deck is really fun, and I think that if we get better support for the grade 1s, so let's say this, I feel like these Korras and Stezas can be exchangeable if we get better grade 1s to replace them. Oh, hold on. These cards can be easily replaceable. And for the starter, it really doesn't matter what starter you run, so you can run whatever you want. If you want to be a troll, you can just run a Riviera one to get them triggered for a second. And that's about it. This is my deck list for Melody, and hope you enjoyed.